Welcome back to Dream of Mirror Online. Last time we entered Graf's Green Square but encountered a few problems. The biggest of which is that I hate Pilfer and have decided to never use it again, but also I've decided that some of my sub-jobs that I use for healing and self-buffs and things like that are too low level at this stage to still benefit me. I need to level them up. But leveling up Doctor is not the funnest thing in the world, for example. It doesn't really have attacking moves. So I've decided that I want to pick up a new job which will be very helpful for training some of these other jobs which are not very good at physical attacks. So I've come to Darkdale to get the qualification for Witch Doctor. However, I've encountered a slight problem which won't go away until the Christmas update is over. Someone decided to put a giant snowman right on the training square where the careers advisor is. So it's you can walk through it. It's not a physical solid model, but visually it's kind of interesting. Here, now it's almost like it's gone for a second and then it comes back. Oh! It's very frustrating. I'm not the biggest fan. Here we are. If we're closer in, then it's like we're inside of it and you can't see it. There we are. Okay, so here she is. She is wearing the level 20 robes, which I honestly think they do fit the theme of the job very nicely. Hello, I'm the Witch Doctor Careers Advisor. I'm responsible for finding new witch doctors. I want to be a witch doctor. If you want to be a witch doctor, you have to take my test and let me judge your ability. Okay. The test is simple. A voodoo poison bug is created when different poisonous creatures fight and devour each other until there is only one left. To be a witch doctor, you have to defeat these poisonous creatures, fight them and be the last one standing. Running away is also an option, but don't leave this area or you'll fail. Now take the test. Okay? So you can definitely use hit and run tactics, but don't leave the region of the test. Probably the actual arena physically that she's on. Now I am a high level, so it's not an issue. Otherwise you could definitely use hit and run tactics, but as it is, I should be fine. Only one of them survived. Hello, it's because it has high evasion. Moths always do. You could do this probably, these are level 15 I think it is. You could do this by the time you've reached Copperhorn naturally in gameplay. But I mean, why should I switch to another job when I can just do it quickly? Would I like to go to the Careers Advisor? I'm not sure if they'll teleport me to the Careers Advisor in Eversun, and I want to stay in Darkdale and then Swan Lake Basin for training, so. Alright, so it's time to go get the qualification for it. To go switch to that job and we can talk about it. Fortunately, this is not far in Darkdale, it's just off here. It's a practice ground and it won't be long to get to the main square with the Careers Advisor. So, one thing I could talk about while I maybe just set my character to auto-walk up there, if it'll work. We'll see if she'll auto-walk. While we do that, I'm going to quickly show you a little bit of this. Oh, she's not auto-walking. Lovely. It's too hard. I was going to talk about the whole concept behind the Witch Doctor job, but auto-walk is too difficult in Darkdale apparently. Too many twists and turns. And the Darkdale Messenger looks a lot like the Exorcist in Eversun City. Okay, so now I'm going to just show you quickly. This is from Wikipedia. It has a very good page on the basics of goo poison, also named Jinsan. It's a poison which is associated with southern China, particularly Namue. I'm just reading it out loud at the moment. The idea is to prepare this poison, you seal a bunch of venomous creatures inside a closed container where they devour one another, and they supposedly concentrate their toxins into the single survivor, which yeah, lovely. I actually have a phobia of bugs, so I'm not going to go into that in detail. Whoops. And it's used for black magic concepts. And also the goo spirit can supposedly transform into different animals like caterpillar, snake, frog, dog, pig, which you will see in the job itself in the game. And this concept actually shows up in a lot of media in East Asia. The goo poison does show up, of course, in a lot of Chinese media. One example I can think of off the top of my head is that in the novel Lord Seventh, the main character's love interest actually does practice goo poison. He's a good person. He doesn't run around poisoning people willy-nilly, but he does know how to do it and have poisonous pets. And it also shows up in some way in copper coins, where we see a chapter which I really didn't read in detail. I had to skim past it, but anyway, it did show up there too. And it also is, the idea is popular in Japan, where it's called kodoku. And it is shown in quite a few anime. For example, in Inuyasha, the villain Naraku actually puts a bunch of demons together with the idea that if they all fight each other and devour each other, then the most powerful one left standing will have absorbed the strength of all of its opponents, and then he will use that as his new host body because his original body was damaged. And that happens. It also shows up again in the sequel Yashahime, where where one of the main characters, Moroha, is thrown into a group of demons which are sealed away and fighting each other. And a similar idea with demons fighting each other, or dark beings fighting each other, and the most powerful one left standing will have taken the strength of all of the others, shows up in the Chinese novel Tianguan Zi Fu, where the ghosts all gather at a place called Mount Tonglu, and in the kiln they fight each other, and the one ghost who is left standing at the end is the most powerful and is a new ghost king. So it shows up a lot. It's a very familiar concept, and here it is in this video game. They variably call it, depending on the version of the game, I think in English you've played, Witch Doctor or Voodoo Witch Doctor or something like that. So let's change to that job. Here it is, Witch Doctor, level 10. Very pretty icon bear, I always love those. Okay, so I'm going to be subbing in... I just realized I don't have any armor for this job right now. Whoops, I might have to go to Eversun and buy some if I don't have the stuff to craft it. Okay, so I am just going to sub in a few abilities here. I think... Doctor? Yeah, in case I get hurt. And... I'm just thinking about what would be best to sub in for the time being. Probably... Honestly, some of the Shaman's Nature Magic is fine for now, and Blade Master for the light armor. I do think that the Witch Doctor will benefit a lot from light armor, if I had any at the moment. Okay, so I'm just going to be naked while I stand here and tell you about Witch Doctor. Whoops. It's fine, I have underwear on. Okay, so here are the stats. Oh, I have the little thing hiding the chat box from the guild. Sorry, there we are. Okay, so your best stats as a Witch Doctor are your power. You get plus 2.1 attack for every point you put in, and your base power is very good. Your wisdom, you get a lot of extra MP. You don't get a huge amount of magic attack though, actually. You mainly get physical attack out of it. And agility is okay, but you actually don't get a lot of evasion out of putting points into agility, only 0.7. And you can, I've been talking about that in the last episode with different jobs in their evasion. I think that some of the best jobs for evasion are thief and actually martial artist gets really good evasion bonuses. I think martial artist gets 1.4, dancer and fencer both get plus 1.2. And even like a plus 1 isn't very good. I think Blade Master gets that and it doesn't really benefit you a lot, as I saw. So agility is still good for the cooldown. And it actually still adds to your physical attack, so it's still worth it, but it's definitely not your best ability here. And then dexterity obviously is always worth putting some points into, but largely I would say wisdom and physical attack are actually going to be some of your best stats. Although again, agility is still good. And here are some of the common builds, agility and wisdom. Although, yeah, I'm just noticing that your actual evasion benefits aren't as good, so don't expect that to be the most evasive job ever. Which is another reason it's good to sub in something like equipped light armor, because you're going to be taking hits. You're not going to have all of them miss like you would as a thief. And here are your weapon suit abilities. As you can see, besides the dagger, which is actually your natural weapon as a Witch Doctor, the only weapon which you can really sub in and get good benefit from is Wand. Interestingly, it's 90% proficiency, so that's actually very good. If you did have equipped Wand, it would not be a bad idea to sub that in. But for the time being, let us talk about some of your skills as a Witch Doctor. The one you will have unlocked immediately is called Agony Bug. This will poison the enemy for non-elemental damage, and it will continue to increase the attack damage from normal fixed attacks for 30 seconds. Bloodthirsty Bug, non-elemental damage again, and then it will cause a loss of HP for 10 seconds. So the amount of HP will change, but the duration seems to be the same. Toxic Detonating Bug. Convert all of the remaining poison effects on a target into instant damage. So if you've already poisoned it with stuff like Agony Bug and Bloodthirsty Bug, then you can do that and it will attack you. And then you get Poison, which is an item used only for the high level skills. Then Poison Purifying. So convert all the remaining poison effects on your team or pets into HP. Oh, that's interesting. Target with no poison effect gains poisons. So that's the item you use for the high level skills. And the Sanctuary will create a restorative field for 5 minutes for sitting teammates. So that's sort of similar to something like the Martial Artist, which has meditation, which enhances your healing abilities while you're seated. This is now an area of effect version for the whole team. So that does have some potential uses if you're training in a party a lot, but not so much if you're on your own. And here are some of the other skills. Liquid Venom will slow down the target's movement speed and also causes damage and poisons the target for a certain amount of damage for 20 seconds. Poison Strike, throw a poison dart causing physical damage and poisoning the target for 20 seconds. Stalling Poison, oh wait, no, that's the one that slows them down. Oh, I do like Liquid Venom. Stalling Poison will lower their movement speed by a certain percentage, which increases as you level up, and it actually lasts a minute, so that's a really good one, especially if you like hit and run tactics. Blood Boil is a self-buff. You trade health for skill boost. You'll get an increased attack and magic attack, but you also lose HP every 5 seconds. This is really good potentially to sub out to jobs which have higher HP. And Martial Hex is similar. It casts a hex on yourself, which increases your normal attack damage, but also will reduce non-instant healing effects, things like regeneration, or I believe I've talked about this, Tranquil Turtle, or is it Tranquil Tortoise for the Martial Artist, which does a huge amount of HP recovery while standing. Those will become less effective. I believe both of these can be stacked, or at least I think Martial Hex can be. So that's a really useful ability. And then you have much higher level versions of these. So you can create a cursed area for 5 minutes that increases damage taken. I'm not sure if that affects you as well as the enemy. I have to look at that. And Poisonous Blood poisons self, and you'll also poison the enemy, I think for more HP than yourself. 100-Step Poison, poison a target so they lose a certain amount of HP every 5 seconds for 25 seconds. So that's just a better version of Stalling Poison, although it doesn't slow them down. So there are a lot of abilities like this. And you do have a couple. Here we have Poison Fog and Poison Needles, which are both area of effect. So you do have some area of effect ability as a Witch Doctor, but it's definitely not your best ability. And I'm just going to look again at these skills. Explosive Bug will cause both physical and magical damage. Ooh, that's interesting. Soul Eater, that causes HP and MP fixed damage to a target, reduces their magic attack as well. And then the Plant Summoning, Plant Puppet, and Plant Skill, that's all related to the idea which you saw from the wiki about summoning monsters to fight for you, basically. Unfortunately, in order to get these, you need to actually plant them on a teammate. And if they get a certain amount of experience, then in that amount of time, then you'll actually get the Summon Bug from them as an item. You have to have the Poison ability, I believe, in order to use the Summon Bugs, though, unless I'm wrong. So that's kind of not so useful for single player, but it can obviously be very useful in cases because it's kind of like having a pet. But it's definitely not an ability I'm likely to put points into. So you can see you have very high base physical attack and pretty good magic attack too. Your evasion is not bad at base 13. So even though you don't get as much benefit from agility for every point you put into it, you do have a better evasion starting out. 13 is quite high. For instance, Fencer gets more benefit out of evasion, but their base out of agility, but their base evasion is only 8. So it's definitely some of your best stats are going to be wisdom and agility and physical power. It's up to you if you want to because wisdom and agility will also increase your attack. So it's pretty much, you might as well just put points into that. I do agree with that, although if you do really want to just hit hard, I suppose a little bit of power is fine. Okay, so at this stage I need to go get some armor, and then I will meet you for some training so we can test out these skills. Okay, so here I am in Swan Lake Basin, ready to start training. I decided to just wear the light armor for this job because the light armor is more defensive and a witch doctor actually does do a decent bit of hand-to-hand as well as actual poison, especially at the low levels. So I'll benefit from the light armor more than rogues. And also, I wanted to wear the level 10 light armor again because it's beautiful. I'll be so sad when I level up out of it once again. I wish there was some sort of way you could just make your armor look like a certain armor set you like, even if it's not actually that set, like a little cosmetic feature, but I mean, there is no such thing. Okay, I'm gonna put regen on just in case I get in trouble, although, I mean, they're just poo-poos, I should be fine. And here we are, time to poison one of them, using the first level of Agony Bug, which we do have access to. Let's see how much damage this does. The initial damage isn't that much yet, but oh, our physical attack's also not bad. We'll see how it goes. Oh, you can definitely see that they're taking more damage now. Now it's 68, 72, 74, whereas before when we had Agony Bug on, they were taking 80 damage per hit. So it does actually enhance your physical attack damage. So this could be really useful to sub in as well to a physical job like Blade Master or Martial Artist. We already hit level 11. There is still the 300% bonus going on the server, so that would explain why we're leveling up even more astronomically quickly than you normally do at the low levels. So agility and wisdom are pretty big ones. Let's just pick up that poo-poo paper. I know it's not that much money to this point in the game when you're in the level 30s, but I still want the money. So I would put a point into dexterity. Honestly, at the moment, in the early levels where you're not going to be dealing with that much danger, I feel like spamming a dexterity, putting some points into dexterity is not a bad idea. And also agility. Long term, I feel like agility and wisdom are the best, but I do want to get dexterity to a decent base level. Now let's see what abilities we've unlocked. Quite a few. Let's see, Bloodthirsty Bug deals non-elemental spell damage plus 300% normal attack damage, then causes a loss of HP, loss of 60 HP every 5 seconds for 10 seconds. Honestly, I could probably go fight enemies higher level than me because of that. They're very effective, these abilities. Poison Strike throws a poison dart, causing physical damage and poisoning the target for 40 HP every 5 seconds. Non-elemental magical damage and poisons the target. I think these are all good, but this in particular, since it's magical damage, will be really useful for a lot of the jobs I want to sub it out to. So for a time being, I'm going to put points into this one. Long term, I'll be putting points into a lot of these, but for the time being, that's what I would do. Because I do think that's going to be useful on my magic jobs where I do want an extra ability. Okay, let's try it out on this one. It's level 11. So you can see that my evasion is pretty good, but it's definitely not going to keep up because you don't get as much ability to continue buffing your evasion. And my goodness, the amount you get out of it in this job is nowhere near as good. In fact, let me just go get that little stats sheet again. Sorry about the little black bar hiding the chat. I realized I really should keep that up because I don't want to randomly be recording people's conversations and I never remember to close guild chat. So, 0.7 evasion, 0.7, that's just not very good. So it's definitely not something where I would really be holding out for it and expecting it to do me a lot of benefit long term, the evasion. But I definitely like seeing their HP going down way more than it would if I was just hitting them with my dagger. That's very rewarding. And I'm just going to keep heading up here. I would say that because of the way these abilities deal so much passive damage at this point, I could definitely be taking enemies a little bit stronger. So I'm going to head up to the Dairy Pumamas very soon. And I do believe a lot of poison abilities can stack. Not every single one, but for example, that's why any remaining poison on an enemy could be converted to instant damage is one of the abilities you get later on. So yeah, again, it's a very, very good job. I'd say the only thing is you're not the most defensive and you're not the most evasive, so you do have to kind of keep that in mind. It doesn't show up a lot at these super early levels, but later on you will definitely find that you're a little bit frail. Definitely hit and run tactics are a good idea, subbing in healing and defensive abilities from other jobs if Witch Doctor is going to be your main. If it's one of the main jobs you want to level up to the high levels, then you definitely need to look at shoring up some of your weak defenses. But again, it doesn't really show up at this level. It's like, hey look, you're almost level 12. You've barely done anything yet. Ah, it's so nice. I love these early levels. Shame you can only do them once, at least on each character. Okay, now I'm already looking forward to getting some new stuff. Okay, my dexterity is fine for now. I'm gonna do agility and wisdom. Okay, now I have 4 points, so I get to have a lot of fun with this. Toxic detonating bug. That will convert remaining poison into damage. This is something I would say is more useful later on when you're dealing with enemies with a lot of HP, especially bosses. I wouldn't focus on it just yet, even though it is good. Here's the bloodthirsty one, dealing non-elemental spell damage and normal attack damage, then causing a loss of 60 HP. Oh, that's good. I just want all of these. I like them. So yeah, that one I'm going to be waiting on until later. And stalling poison will reduce the target's movement speed by 31% and also does 60 HP. At base level, that's really good. And this lasts 1 minute, which is better than Poison Strike, I think. And this is physical damage, and I want to sub this out into a lot of magic using jobs, so yes, I think for the time being, I like this one a lot. Okay, there we are. Now let's just go up to the Dairy Poo Mamas, because at this point I feel kind of mean beating up the little baby poo-poos. I'm a little bit strong for them. Although I'm definitely not ready for that family of poo-poos. Anytime you see, you'll regret it. They will kill you. They will kill you very, 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 very quickly. As we have already learned, like in Giantwood Forest with the map, when I decided that I wasn't going to be playing with treasure maps for a while, you do get some good stuff for them, but sometimes they spawn you into some very strong monsters. Okay, I think Stalling Poison can be done from a slight distance. And yeah, why not just skill spam? A little bit. I definitely will want to work on agility for cooldown. Oh, it's dead. Okay. Sorry, Poo Poo Mama. Well, she's level 13, so I am fighting someone higher level than me. And yes, I believe that these poisons do stack. So you're dealing a lot of passive damage to them. You can see the HP bar just went down and down. This could be a really good job at high levels. The only thing is you don't get a lot of area of effect moves. You only get a couple. Although if you... Yeah, you could sub it out to a job which has more area of effect moves and then combine them. So that's an option too. But yeah, you don't get a lot of area of effect out of it. Bolt from the blouse. I'm just looking again. Whoa, 1080 HP and 90 NP fixed damage to the target. Wow. But yeah, you don't get a lot of area of effect. You get like 2. So it's definitely not something where you're going to be dealing well in dungeons where a lot of monsters mob you. But yeah, it's a really good damage dealing job because of all of these stacking of the poisons. And then being able to convert that to poison, which is still on them, you can still see they're getting the little boot effect into damage. That's really good. So yeah, this is a really good job. I'm just sort of appreciating it all over again and realizing that I do not need to put points into the special equip ability because very few of these need it. As I said, there are only a couple which actually require it, and it seems to me to be kind of a waste, honestly. It's not a little brutal, but it's just, there are only a few things you would be using it for. So unless you really like those things, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Okay, the orange dripping gouaches are a little bit tougher now, level 14, and I'm still level 12. And you can see there's a lot slower if you do want to do some hit and run tactics on them. Well, at this point, I could do some off-screen training, and when I'm a couple levels higher, I'll start showing you how that's paying off, because I think we'll start seeing the effect of the poison a lot more on higher level enemies. Okay, so I've been experimenting a little bit, and this move, Toxin Detonating Bug, is very confusing. Convert 40% of all remaining poison into damage, and you don't receive the this item back. What you receive is this poison. So if you use it on a target which is not poisoned, you will receive poison in return. So here, I'm using it, and now I got 2 goo poisons. So now I have 2 more of these poisons in my inventory. So that's what that does. If you've poisoned the enemy and then you use it, then you will do damage to them. Although level 1 is not really very good. So here, if you poison an enemy and then you use Poison Purifying Bug, what you can do is actually heal yourself. Or no, I just got poisoned back. Look, I did something wrong there. This is actually a little bit confusing, I've got to say. Getting hurt a lot. I need to just heal with regular first aid before I die. So I'm actually struggling to understand this a little bit myself. It's not very self-explanatory, and you can actually use it to poison yourself. Is that useful at all? Yeah, the wiki does not explain these nicely. It's very confusing. I may have to see if there are any like fan-made guides which explain them better. Because like, what's the benefit of poisoning yourself? Well, okay, one problem is I was realizing I'm not hurt, so it wouldn't even help. So I think if you poison yourself, will it then heal you? Yeah, they're 96. That heals 96 HP. So that's weird, but that makes sense. And so if you're poisoned, is that the thing? It's not that your target is poisoned, but if you're poisoned? I'm not sure I understand this. I feel very annoyed, but I can't give you a good explanation of it, but it's actually a little bit confusing. Is it based on the enemy being poisoned, or is it if I'm poisoned? So if I'm poisoned and I use this, no, I just got poisoned from them because they're not poisoned. However, I think if I'm poisoned, I get HP back? That doesn't make sense. Although now the poison effect is gone on me, so maybe that's what you do? Like you poison yourself, but then you... This is confusing, I need to look this up. Well, the Dairy Pudatas also hit pretty hard, and they're pretty tanky. You can see my evasion is nowhere near as good. If I was a thief, they would just not even be hitting me. So let me look this up because this is actually quite tricky. It's not well explained how these moves work. A lot of these are very basic. You just poison the enemy. But some of these, I don't understand them. Let me look into it. Okay, so I'm actually just doing a little thing here. I am not currently a witch doctor. I've switched to commoner and I've put all of the witch doctor skills on because I'm curious about if the stuff that I've currently got, that first page low level stuff, can be used on... No, I can't use the voodoo bug. Okay, so that's interesting. However, liquid venom I can use. I can't use bloodthirsty. Poison strike I can use. Stolen poison I can use. So there are some, anything which requires the voodoo poison bug cannot be used without the equip ability. So I was wrong about that. Whoops. So I can only use some of these if I'm a commoner. However, you can see that that's currently 3 abilities I can use. That's actually pretty good. And then an ability like this, I can't use either because it does use a bug. Okay, so you can't use all the abilities. However, let's take a look at this. This set, the Blood Curse Poison, Liquid Venom, Poison Strike, and Stolen Poison, none of those require any voodoo poison bugs. They just use NP. And then also Blood Boil and Martial Hex don't require it. And these higher level ones as well, the Area of Effect ones, do not require that equip. So basically, now this one I do feel like 100-step poison uses poison even if it doesn't say so. No, it uses free poisons. So, and that uses a debugging knife. Create cursed area for 5 minutes but increases damage taken by 11%. And that uses the debugging knife, which I think you might need the equipped for. Okay, so I did just hit level 15, but I did want to kind of show you here. So you have, say, Poison Strike, which poisons the enemy for 20 seconds. If you use that, and then you use Toxic Detonating Bug, that will do extra damage, except I think it missed. Whoops. Might want to put points into dexterity there. Don't want misses on stuff like this. I would in fact say agility and dexterity for this level up. So 2 dexterity and 1 more agility for casting speed. And don't get beat up. I still don't understand Poison Purifying Bug. I think some of these skills, the English descriptions were not written very well. It's hard to understand what they mean. Convert 40% of all remaining poison into HP. Like, I don't understand what they mean by that. And I even looked at a user guide which someone had written up back in the day, and I still don't understand it. So that's not a skill I'm going to be putting points into at the moment if I don't understand it. So these are the ones which I really want then, because they can be subbed out to other jobs freely. Oh, I only had 1 more point. That's fine. But yeah, I don't quite understand it. It's not well explained. Poison Purifying. And then that would level up to... No, this is just a separate ability, it seems. Yeah, some of these are confusing. Now, I do want to apologize again for, at the beginning, giving bad information about use poison, insect, and poison. I was aware, basically, that some of the skills for Witch Doctor were not well translated, and that some of them were wrong in what they told you, and I misread this then with that knowledge, thinking that when they said poison insect, they meant the summon bug, not the actual voodoo poison bug item which you use for the basic spells like Agony Bug. That's where I got all mixed up. It's a little frustrating, but it can happen. Gosh, you know how bad the translations in some old RPGs were? Ooh. So it is frustrating that I got that wrong. I apologize, but there we are. So let's say I do Liquid Venom. That is a poisoning attack. It does poison the target, so if I do that, and then you can see it's got the little thingy, then it should do base... no, it didn't work. Did it want to go this? Or maybe it just didn't do much damage yet. It could just be that it's a low level and it's not working well as a result. And yeah, the Derry-Poodatas hit pretty hard and they're pretty bulky, so they're not the funnest enemy to fight if you're a squishy job and you're hand-to-hand. Oh yeah, what I could do is Razzle Dazzle. I did switch over to that when I switched back, so that will help a lot when I'm doing hand-to-hand. That's actually a really good one for a hand-to-hand job. So yes, this one I don't understand. I'm sorry, but I'm just like screeching over it, but it's frustrating not to know how this ability works. Like, it's not converting it into HP for me, is it? You can see I just am taking damage. I don't think that heals me. It just gave me more poison, which I don't need at the moment. I don't have any abilities that use it. Well, that's actually confusing. That is a frustrating thing that some of these abilities are not well translated, and I'm left with no idea how they're working. Let's see. Like, I'm pretty sure that poisoning myself won't help. Like, I'm just deeply confused by this. I'm sorry, it is actually very confusing. And what do you do with these poisons besides some of those special skills? That's where I'm kind of lost. I wish I could give you a better guide on this, but it's actually, there aren't a lot of good guides on this one which really explain some of these abilities in detail. So I'm gonna have to experiment, and when I figure it out, I'll get back to you. So weirdly enough, you can actually poison yourself. So now, if I used that, would that be what would heal me? Yes! So you basically poison yourself using the poison item, and then you heal yourself. That's really weird, but that's what it's doing. So it's basically like first aid, but you have to first poison yourself, and then all of that poison turns into HP recovered. That's really interesting. It's not well explained. Like, basically poison yourself, but immediately heal yourself, so you don't actually take much damage from the poison and you heal way more back. I mean, obviously, when I'm doing this job, when I'm doing the Dairy Poo Dadas, I can take damage and then I can show you. So let's just let him damage me. I'm at 44, 66, 45, minus 76. I'm actually very curious. I'm going to remove regen because I'm really curious to see how much this does, because that's basically what's happening. And if you use it on a target without, if you use it on a different target, like the dairy on its own, then you'll just like this one, you'll get a poison. You'll get the poison item in exchange. But I'm just going to try this. So let's see, we're at minus 160, minus 182, minus 205, minus. Just going to get these items. So we're at minus 187. Now I'm going to poison myself. And now, minus 190, minus 200 basically. I use this, and ta-da! I healed 150 HP. So it's just first aid, but you have to poison yourself first. That is so badly explained. And I think I've heard that you can use this on the pet too, but you can't poison your pet naturally. So I don't quite understand how that works. Like, I apologize, Teddy, but if we summon you, like, I can't poison my pet, so how would that even work unless we're poisoned by an enemy, I suppose? Like, you can't poison your pet, you can't attack your pet, the game doesn't work that way, so I don't understand that. Also, I don't want to poison my pet. But now I figured it out, this is basically a self-heal. So you basically don't have to sub in first aid, just poison yourself and then heal yourself. That's really interesting. Again, it's not well explained. And then with this one, you first poison the enemy and then you use this, and all of that poison that it would be, the poison effect which would be going, instead is turned into instant damage. Ta-da! You've attacked them. So that's how that works. Okay. So like Poison Strike will poison them, then use the detonating ability, and it doesn't do a lot of damage at this stage though. I think probably because these are all really low level. So essentially this one basically just saves you from needing to sub in a healing ability, so that's interesting. Now that one did 361, that was probably because I had stacked poisons rather than just one. So basically spam all the poisons and then use it. Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this. Unfortunately you get to see me fail a lot, but that's okay. So here we are, use the poison, then use poison purifying, and I'm healed. So it's a healing ability. You see, it's very badly explained, especially the way they say all of that. And you basically could, you could potentially use this on a team member, but they would have to be poisoned first. And you can't actually poison your team members. Like, you can't attack your team members unless you're in a duel. So it's really just, I think it's mainly for self-healing. Yeah, that's what it seems like to me. Okay, now I know. So now if I have already used all of the other poisons, this will do more damage if it hits, which it doesn't. That's okay. So I need to work on my dexterity. But yes, you basically just need to poison them a bunch and then use it, and that'll be a big burst of damage because they have a bunch of poison stacked on them. Okay, I feel accomplished. I feel like I now understand this job. Some of these, as I've said, I don't think they're very well explained. Now I do need faster casting speed because the poison doesn't last very long. See, that did 408 damage. And that will, of course, as we level these up, do even more. I do have first aid equipped though, but yeah, if you don't want to equip first aid, then you can actually use this one and just heal yourself by poisoning yourself first. Again, this is very interesting. I wish it was better explained and I didn't feel like I was just up the creek without a paddle at first, but hey, that's what experimenting is all about. I do wish I hadn't accidentally told you at the beginning that these abilities don't require the equipped poison ability. They do, but these don't. So yes, this page of abilities don't require any special equips. You can just use them on any job immediately. And some of these, I actually don't know that any of these do. Poison self, but also nearby enemies. Lasts 30 seconds. That would actually be really good for martial artists, which has so much HP. And it does require poison though, so you need the equipped poison one. Same with that one. and that one requires a debugging knife. Just, it's interesting to look at this. Okay. But poison needles and poison fog are area of effect, and they also don't require anything special, just MP. So there you are. There is still a decent range of abilities which can be subbed out without the special equip item, but not all of them. Good to know. You know, I'm just wondering if I want to get rid of some of these monster trapping mirrors. I never use them. I don't find they're that useful, and I could just keep the poisons that I gather that way. Yeah, I really don't find they're very useful. The monsters often just get in trouble, and they don't do a lot of damage, not like your pet. So there we are. So you do need the equip poison if you want to do a lot of subbing out with this job, but I still think that mainly just getting some of these first page skills from the second set on is fine. I think that's good enough, for sure. So use a poison and then heal myself. That's a really interesting mechanic. I just wish it was better explained. It's fine. So now if I use this first when it is not poisoned, I will get 2 poison. When you level this up, you actually get more poison out of it. That basically scales as you level up. You have a chance of getting more poison. I think the highest level one you can actually get up to 20 poison, so that's pretty good. See, that does 408 when you poison it 3 times. So yeah, that works out very nicely. But this one you can't sub out because it requires Voodoo Poison Bug. But it is a very, very, very nice combo, all of these. Okay, I have figured it out. Took me a while. It's not that simple. It's actually quite tricky. But I did get it. Could we use this, please? Okay, hit another level, and I'm probably going to be focusing more on the abilities you sub out, Finn, because I do think those will be useful. Okay, agility and wisdom. Probably should have put a bit more into dexterity because I don't want to keep missing, but it's okay. So these are the ones I would like to focus on more. I can get more stalling poison and more poison strike. Now the problem with Blood Boil is that you're trading health for attack power, basically, and the Martial Hex, you are trading your healing effects, non-instant healing effects reduced by 6%. So that's like regeneration. That's actually pretty good. Increase normal attack damage by 24%. And you're just weakening your healing effect. That is really good. But you initially need to give up HP for it. So by non-instant healing effects, that's stuff like regeneration. It's not like first aid. So yeah, that is really good. In fact, I'm tempted to put a point into that. I'm going to be leveling up to probably be to 20 for now. So let's get 1 on Martial Hex. It's a good buffing ability. I'm not sure where I should put it. Because I'm not going to be subbing out to everything. Although this would actually be really good on a lot of stuff. So normal attack damage sadly is not magic attack, which I would love to increase as well. But no such luck. Alright, so there's that. And 1 more point I'm going to add to... Let's see, what does Stalling Poison do? It does lower the movement speed a little, but it's more that it does more HP. And then Poison Strike does physical damage and poisons the target. Now for 50 HP, the duration is the same. So I think I'm going to get Stalling Poison for now. I do really like that one. There we are. Okay, I'm actually going to use Martial Hex. And heal myself. Didn't poison myself. It's fine. I can just use First Aid. I have it equipped. But this is basically a sort of free substitute for First Aid if you don't want to be putting that onto your Witch Doctor. Okay, so now we have higher level Stalling Poison. Also, I should put Razzle Dazzle back on. Now I remember. Here we are. I used 2 poison and did a lot of damage, and Pocket Knife can be upgraded, okay. I was actually thinking of just getting a higher level one for both Witch Doctor and Thief in future. So I might just, since I'm mostly using the poison and not the dagger, I'll just wait and sub and wait on that. I just made this one quickly so I had it, but long term I think this is going to be more useful. Now I believe Martial Hex, no, that one cannot be stacked. However, this one, Blood Boil, can be stacked quite a few times, in fact. If you have the HP to eat, then it's a good one. Witch Doctor does not really have the HP to eat up for it, but Martial Artist does. Alright, I feel kind of accomplished, like I really now understand the basics of this job much more. I really needed to poke at it and fail a bit, and I got the basics down. Again, being able to poison yourself is very interesting. Now I'm all out of the goo poisons though, but you can just get more easily by using these on a target who is not yet poisoned. Yeah, could we do that? No, that one doesn't. It's odd. I thought it would. Oh lovely, I'm hurt again. The Dairy Pudatas will aggro on you if your HP is too low, so be careful of that. So now I'm still like, wait, this confuses me. So you're using it on yourself. This is completely a self-targeted attack, or I think also for allies. It's not used on enemies. Okay, it's not explained well. It really isn't. Like, that explanation is confusing, and the fan guide I found had some useful information, but it also did not have very good wording to explain how these work. That was a little bit frustrating. So now I do have the poison item again. So here we are. We could just get some more this way. I got 2 more. And you can see the MP cost of a lot of these moves is extremely small. 4, 5, 8, free. So that also makes it a really good job to sub out to others. For instance, there are a lot of jobs which don't have super high MP, and you can still benefit from them in this job. Benefit from using these abilities. If you don't need the equip item. But there are 5 skills you can use without it, and eventually you get area of effect versions, so that would actually make 7 eventually once you unlock those. So that's fine. I did want to put the poison back on here for the time being, because if I do want to use it to heal myself and I have access, you go here. Currently only have 6, but I can keep getting more from enemies using this one. Ta-da! So now I understand it. Took me a while, but there we are. It's actually quite tricky. As I've said, it's not very well explained. Also, I still have Martial Hex on. That would explain it to some extent, because you also do recover HP naturally as you fight and as you stand around, and that is going to be decreased by Martial Hex. But I'm also doing more physical damage. So for instance, right now, I'm doing nearly 100 per hit, and in fact sometimes going above that. So that's actually really good. And again, that'll be really useful on other jobs too, and you can sub it out immediately. You don't need any special equip for that one. Cool. Okay, it's about to wear off, but that's fine. Right now what I want to do is get some more of the poison item from these orange whipping rocks, and then I can poison them. You can see my MP is very stable. It's just, it's using so little in comparison to how much I have naturally. So that's really nice, but it's not a high MP usage job. Okay, so I'm getting the hang of this, and at this point, is there anything else I'm going to be unlocking soon that I really want to show you? I don't really feel the need to use that because I just have other healing abilities and I'm not in a team, so whatever. Some of these I'm only going to be unlocking in the 30s. This one you could actually unlock right away, but you need a team to do it. You need a teammate. And I don't believe you can use it on your pet, which is a shame. But there you are. I'm not going to be using those, I'm sorry, but I don't have any way to do it on my own. And Blood Boil, I'll just unlock at some point. Level 31, 31, 31, 32. Okay, you know what? At this point, I feel like I did finally figure out the basics of Witch Doctor. It took doing it more to figure it out. I wish I hadn't made any mistakes on screen, but there you are. Sometimes I do. So, this set of skills are useful, but you have the problem that you need the special equip here to use the Voodoo Poison Bugs on other jobs. So they're not the best ones if you're mainly planning on subbing Witch Doctor out. Unless you do want to get that equipped, but that's only going to be at level 30. And Poison Purifying Bug, you poison yourself first and then you heal yourself. That's all it does. Or you can use it on yourself immediately to get more goo poison. Ta-da! I just got 4 out of that one. That's really good. And it doesn't even hurt you. I don't understand. I guess you're just basically converting your MP into poison. And then this one, you first poison the enemy using these skills, and then you use it with one of these poisons, and you will deal damage to the enemy. Extra damage based on how much poison stats they still have. And then, as a result, these are the ones to get for subbing out to other jobs, and Blood Boil and Martial Hex will both increase your attack power, so very, very useful. And you actually do get more magic attack out of Blood Boil, so that one's also worth stacking and worth leveling up. This is one I might want to consider subbing out to jobs like Fencer, or at least seeing how it goes, because getting both physical and magic attack out of it means that every job can benefit. But you have to be willing to eat that HP. If you do have, it doesn't actually negate your healing ability, so if you have a really good healing ability like Tranquil Tortoise? Is it Tortoise? I think it's Tranquil Tortoise. If you have a really good HP recovery move like that, you won't even notice the damage being done by this move. So yeah, this is a really useful page of skills to sub out to any job without needing the equip ability. But a lot of the other abilities do require it. Still, a lot of jobs only have like 1 or 2 abilities, or a couple, which can be subbed out without using the equip item ability, which requires 15 skill points. So it is still a really good job for subbing, absolutely. And at this stage, I feel like I've at least gone over the basics, and you've got to see me fail a lot. And at this stage, what I'm basically going to be doing is just leveling these skills up more, especially the ones that can be subbed out to other jobs. And I will also be training some of my other jobs like Doctor using these skills in order to be able to then heal more effectively once I return to Grosgreen Square. So I will see you then. As always, thank you so much for watching and for bearing with me with my experiments with Witch Doctor. I think I finally cracked it at least. Until next time, bye!